Everyone, welcome to the show. There was breaking news today. As you might have heard, the Supreme Court was making a bunch of decisions today. They're ruling on a bunch of very important, very consequential cases, one of which has to do with birthright citizenship. So, for anybody in another country who isn't familiar with this term, birthright citizenship is written into our U.S. Constitution. It says that if you are born in the United States, you are automatically an American citizen. So unbelievable that this was even an issue since, again, it's in our Constitution. But as everyone knows, Donald Trump is psychotic and hateful and a bigot. So he issued an executive order right after he took office saying that he is ending birthright citizenship. This was part of Project 2025. This, for those of us who were aware of Project 2025, who talked about it, who, knew about it, obviously not his supporters because they were all either completely unaware of it or they wrongfully believed and were convinced by his lies that he had nothing to do with it. But this was one of the core tenets of Project 2025. It was drafted by horrific, racist people who just don't want anyone brown or black in this country. And it's me, mine, mine, mine. So Donald Trump issues this executive order. It, of course, got taken to court. It has worked its way up through the court system, and it went before the Supreme Court. Well, as of today, the Supreme Court ruled basically in Donald Trump's favor. It was a 6-3 ruling, as you would imagine, along party lines. So all of the conservatives voted along for Trump, and the 3 liberal justices voted against it. So the 6 conservative justices, they voted to essentially um, not end birthright citizenship, but as I understand it, they are ruling that you have to bring a case, like a lower court judge, a federal judge cannot just issue a universal injunction that affects everyone across the entire country. Basically, what they said is the only people who can take issue with this and bring a case before the courts is someone who is affected by this. It has to be an individual person or it has to be a group of cases for people who are affected by this decision. They did leave a little wiggle room. And Justice Sotomayor, who is one of the liberals, she wrote a just scathing dissenting opinion. And then she basically laid out for any attorneys out there, any immigrants out there, or, their children, she laid out exactly the roadmap that they needed to take in order to get this done, in order to protect themselves. So Justice Sotomayor wrote, quote, "The majority leaves untouched one important tool to provide broad relief to individuals subject to lawless government conduct. Rule 23b2, class actions for injunctive relief. Thus, the parents of children covered by the citizenship order would be well advised to file promptly class action suits and to request temporary injunctive relief for the putative class pending class certification." So essentially what she's saying there is everyone out there who might be affected by this needs to get on board with a class action lawsuit immediately so that you can be heard, so that you cannot just be thrown out of the country and considered to not be an American citizen. So there is an immigrant rights group called CASA. They have immediately, like right after this decision came out from SCROTUS, as I call them, they went out and they filed a class action lawsuit. So we don't know. This is now going to have to weave its way through the court system again, and we'll have to see where it comes out. But basically, if Donald Trump gets his way, this would leave children with no country, right? I mean, you guys might recall this just happened. There was a case, and I honestly can't remember what country they were deported to, but there was a woman, a mother, who was deported with her young child, with her daughter, and her daughter was born here in the United States. She's a U.S. citizen by law. Well, the country didn't know what to do with her. Like I said, I don't remember if it was Cuba. I don't remember what state, what country, but they were like, okay, well, she's not our citizen, and we don't allow non-citizens. So they had to make a new law for her. They literally had to create a new law for this little girl and give her temporary citizenship until she reaches 18 years of age. At that point, it's like, okay, now what does she do? If there's a Democrat in office, she could theoretically return to the United States, come back to the US and, reclaim her citizenship and live here. Or, I mean, what else does she do? She's at that point, she's no longer allowed in that country. She would have to apply for citizenship, I guess, in the country where her mother was born. So this is the issue they're creating. And what I find interesting is there are so many, and this is well known, this is well documented, you can go look it up, but there are so many cases of Russian citizens, citizens from all over the world who come to the United States just to give birth so that their children will have U.S. citizenship. There's a whole cottage industry around this. So is Donald Trump going to do something about that? Or is that okay because they're white? I mean, he hasn't said anything about those types of cases, but yeah, I forget what the term is called. But there is literally an industry where companies will arrange for travel to the US when you're about to give birth, and that way you can have your baby in the United States. And a lot of European countries, a lot of people in European countries take advantage of that and do this. Florida, it has been known as one of the hubs for this for years. So anyway, guys, this is where we are. The sad thing is so many of these people do not have money. They're barely scraping by. They're living sometimes 2, 3, 4 families in the same house because they don't make enough to be out on their own. And now, how are they going to pay for legal fees? So we all are going to have to pitch in. I mean, that's the only thing that I can see how this is going to work. And donate, make contributions to these law firms and to these organizations that are willing to represent these parents and these kids pro bono. Because if this doesn't just affect, and this is something I should say, I am unclear on this because there was something in one of the articles I read, it said that this doesn't affect children before Donald Trump's executive order went into effect, whether or not he's going to abide by that, right? So it was like February, some date in February of this year, kids who were born after that date, it would affect. Is he going to follow that? I mean, or is he just going to go, oh, I can do whatever the hell I want, just like I did with Kilmar Obrega Garcia and all these other people that I shipped off to that hellhole in El Salvador, where they'll never see the light of day again, even though they've done nothing wrong. So is he just going to start rounding up kids who were born here to undocumented parents and just, throwing them all out? I mean, he's already doing that. Why am I even saying, is he going to start? He's already been doing that. So is this just going to be carte blanche now because of this Supreme Court ruling? He's just going to go, oh, whoops. Oh, I thought you meant it applied to everyone. I didn't understand that. Oh, my bad. Too late. They're already gone. We have a lawless president, a lawless conservative Supreme Court, a lawless Congress run by Republicans. I don't know what it's going to take. I really don't know what it's going to take. Like I had said a few weeks back, I think people will rise up. I think we'll see a shift if someone dies. But we just saw that. We just saw that in Minnesota with one of Donald Trump's minions, one of his psycho supporters, who allegedly went and killed a lawmaker and her husband and their dog and shot another one and his wife, and nothing. Republicans are either silent about it, or they're trying to blame Democrats, or they're making jokes. So I really don't know what it's going to take. I'm at a loss. I thought that there would be some red line with Republicans somewhere, but they are beyond depraved. So, all right, guys, I will let you know if I hear any more. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Please like, please share, and subscribe. Please donate if you can. Love you all. Take care. Talk with you soon.